Right, Frank, that was a fun little press conference there. A bit of needle, as they put it.
Only a little bit. I mean, these two, it's a shame with the pair of them, but I don't think there's any love lost there. They got respect for each other, obviously as professionals, but it's all about who's going to be the top dog, and that's all that counts for them.
And Brian Jennings, I think, brought over here, maybe to the mainstream, a bit of an unknown, but boxing fans know that he's a serious threat. Also, great talker.
Great talker. He's got plenty of confidence, there's no doubt about that. And, it's Joe's 10th professional fight, so it's a bit of a step up in class for him. And when you look at the experience Brian's got, I think it's going to be a tough test for him.
Is it nice to see the heavyweight division kind of explode like this? Obviously, there was the result on Saturday night, and now it just feels like every fight means a little bit more, doesn't it, in the division?
Of course it does. Everybody's jostling for things. I mean, when we got this card together and we announced it, it was all about the next generation coming through. But what happened on Saturday with Anthony Joshua just turned a little bit of it upside down. So these guys, there's 2 fights on, and the 2 winners of these fights, I think both of them want to get ranked in the top 5. And that's going to put them pretty close to being mandatory challengers in a very short space of time.
It's that old cliche as well, isn't it? Anything can happen in the heavyweight division. It only takes a punch.
Listen, when you've got big lumps in there, big guys in there like that throwing bombs, anything can happen. And you see that on Saturday night. If there's a chink in the armour, it always winds up at the end of the day getting exploited as it did with Anthony Joshua. So these fellas now, they've got it. They see what they've got. They see the opportunity they've got. You've got Tyson fighting on the 15th, fighting Tom Schwartz. Not everybody, some people think it's going to be a walkover. This is a tough game. These guys, Tom Schwartz 24-0 coming into a fight. Tyson's got to be at his best. He can't afford to make a mistake. We see what happened, as I said last Saturday. And these guys, they want to be the next ones. They want to be the next big thing. So to be the next big thing, you've got to put a big performance in. You've got to look good. You've got to look great. They've got a great platform to do it on. It's on BT Sport, as we all know, on the 13th. And we're going to see some sensational heavyweight action from the three best heavyweight prospects in the world, who are all British.
And as well, like you say, they're all fighting each other. There's an opportunity to see these chinks in the armour. There's an opportunity to see these weaknesses and see how the other exploits them. Do you think it's exciting? Because we'll get to learn so much more about each of these fighters from this night.
We will do. And I've got to be honest, again, I know I've said this before, it's not about the end of the world for the loser either. This is a journey. These are fights that we're daring to put together very early in these guys' career. And the winner will have the world at his feet. The winners will have the world at their feet. Who knows? The winners may fight each other by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of different scenarios that will pan out after the 13th of July.
And I think that's another good thing that's come out of that fight on Saturday. It's broken up the sort of monopoly at the top, but also it showed, that undefeated thing, that's gone now, and people don't have to be scared to lose that record anymore, right?
No, not at all. And it's shown. It's put Tyson top of the pile. I mean, he's the guy. He got robbed in Vegas. There's no doubt about that. He's the number 1 heavyweight in the world, as I've always said. The lineal champion, the best one out there. There's no doubt about it. It's now. It's now for these fellas. They got such a tremendous opportunity between them. And it's not just when I say an opportunity for a fight. It's what it leads to, the riches and the acclaim that it can get for them. Become an iconic British sporting hero. It's all there for them to happen. And we're giving them the platform. At the end of the day, it's all down to it's in their hands, literally in their hands. Those big fists they've got with those bombs they throw, it's in their hands to go and be the next big thing.
Do you think Nathan will take big heart from it as well? Because Nathan, obviously the smaller man in this fight, he'll look at that and think, well, look, see, boxing prowess can win you the title.
We made a fight a little while ago with a guy coming in who's a bit chubby, and I said, if being the best boxer was who could punch the hardest and who was carved out of marble, then it wouldn't make it, it'd be an easy thing to do. Think when Tyson come back, the weight he was a chubby. He wasn't chubby. He was carrying Ricky Hatton around his waist, and you look now, where he's got himself to. These happen. It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to be, as I say, chips out of rock and look the part. Some guys have natural ability. They have inner strength. They have gas in the tank, but they don't look like athletes. But they are. Anything happens. But he's in with Daniel Dubois, who can fight and who can punch. This is a tough fight for both of them. A tough fight. I don't think there's too much love lost from the amateurs. Lots of things going on about sparring, but this is not sparring now. This is the real deal. This is in there. This is not sparring gloves. This is smaller gloves on. Bell goes. This is going to be exciting.
And a word for Joe Joyce as well. Obviously, he had his own fun up there with Brian Jennings and Sam Jones. How do you feel like Joe Joyce is settling into the Frank Warren stable?
Yeah, he seems to be enjoying himself. He certainly come out of his shell a bit. He was quite shy when I first met him, but he's come out of his shell a bit, and he really fancies the job. This is a tough fight for him, 10th fight for him to be basically thrown in with a guy who's been in with, and done well as in with like the Klitschko's of this world and so forth. Who many will consider is on the fringe of that division, of being up there in that division. And he was winning that fight against Rivas. He was ahead on all the judges' scoring cards till he got clipped. Rivas is fighting the #1 ranked Dillian Whyte in his next fight. He's only had 9 fights. This is his 10th fight. He's stepping right up to the plate. 12th round, winning the fight against the guy who's fighting Dillian Whyte. That tells you something.
I noticed you mentioning up there at the press conference you'd make the fight with White with any of these lads any day. Has he spoken to you yet?
Never, ever had a call. He didn't want to talk to me, obviously. I must have done something to upset him, I don't know. But he didn't want to know. So, anyway, look, he's got his agenda. We got ours. We got, as I said, these are the 3 best heavyweight prospects in world boxing. And they're all with us, BT, and that's the place to be to see them. You're going to see the heavyweights, the best young heavyweights in this country on BT, and you're going to see them on the 13th of July. Don't blink, because I'll tell you what, there will be bombs going off everywhere on the night.
So there's only, 10 days now till Fury v Schwartz. Like you said, there's maybe an added sense of jeopardy now, whereas people may have thought before it was a little bit of a foregone conclusion. Now everyone can see, well, all it takes is one punch or a combination of punches. How do you feel Fury is in the build-up to that one?
Listen, Tyson's a very astute guy. He's no fool. He knows what he's got on his hands, and if he needs, and I'm sure he looks at what happened on Saturday, and he'll look also to James DeGale and Truax. And Truax, what was he? He was ranked number 40 in the world. It can happen, and he's fighting an undefeated fighter. He's fighting a guy who's got exactly the same record as he had, 24-0. When he went and fought Klitschko. That's who he's fighting. And nobody, I think, other than me and probably Tyson and a couple of other people, thought that Tyson would beat Klitschko. Anything can happen in the sport, anything with these big guys.
Fury over in Vegas is now a big bucket list moment for any fighter as well. You looking forward to seeing him out there in the MGM Grand? It's got its history. It's only opened, 1993 or something. It's already got history with Tyson, with Mayweather, and now we've got another Tyson going in.
We have, and Tyson's going out there, and he's got to obviously look good. He's got to show to everybody that he is the #1 heavyweight in the world, and that's what he do. It's all about building his profile in the States. His next couple of fights, leading to the big one with Deontay Wilder, the big rematch that we all want to see.
Well, yeah, I was going to go on to that. So Wilder Fury 2. Obviously, we thought it was coming in May. Then everything came together with the ESPN thing. Deals being signed everywhere, but now that both fighters have said that's happening. Wilder's said that's definitely happening early 2020.
Well, what we don't want to do, we don't want to be doing like what happened with our friends on Saturday. Tyson wants to get it out of the way, the Schwartz fight out of the way, first, get it done, and then after that, we'll be letting the world know what his intentions are, providing he comes through it.
And does the belts being in Andy Ruiz's possession now, obviously there's talk of the rematch happening, but there's 3 different organisations, there's mandatories, there's things like that. Is there a chance that that's going to sort of delay everything? Because I think Tyson said to us before that September 28th was the next date. Is that likely to change before or after?
I don't think so. I think there may be a chance of those belts being fragmented. Maybe one of the organisations, maybe they won't allow the rematch. I mean, when you watch the fight, they got a rematch in a contract, but when you watch the fight, should it be a rematch? It wasn't controversial, was it? It wasn't Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, where most people thought Tyson won it, but that don't warrant a rematch to me. Other than the fact that he gave him a voluntary defence of his title. So if they have the rematch, that will happen. But I think there'll be the same outcome. I really think he's got his number now. And then what's going to be intriguing is that with Ruiz, he's with Al Heyman, as is Deontay. So I think it'd be easier for us to make these fights now, much easier.
Like you say, you think the rematch would come to the same outcome, but despite the fact, obviously, we're rival networks of Sky and everything like that, you don't want AJ to disappear and nothing.
No, look, do you know what? What disappointed me? I'm not being an after time. Of course, we're rivals, and they'll slag off our fighters, and I don't think we slag them up. I only say what I see. I do this business 24/7, so I look at a fighter. Great, I know he can punch. I know he looks good. I know he's fit, but let's have a look and see what he's not good at. And you could see what he wasn't good at. You see that he was getting clipped. He's wobbled. I'm not saying this for the first time. I've been saying it for a long time. He wobbled in his last 4 or 5 fights. He's been clipped and his legs have gone or he's been on the floor. You've seen that happen. I didn't think Andy, although he's got fast hands, I didn't think he'd be the guy to exploit that. What I'm disappointed for is that it wasn't Tyson in there, because we all wanted that big British heavyweight world championship fight between those two guys. That's what I'm disappointed for, and I'm also disappointed that a British fighter lost abroad, because he's great for the game. Listen, he created a lot of momentum for boxing. Sunday the public woke up to it, and we are on rival networks, but Sky wouldn't have done their bit with him, and it works out extremely well for him. But when reality sets in, when you can only get away with something, a certain amount of time get away with these things, when reality sets in, then it's all about the best, and who is the best, and who's the really is the true best fighter. And the only way we're going to find that out, in my opinion now, is when Tyson gets in the ring with Wilder again, and Tyson actually comes out with a decision that he should have got in the first place.
Do you feel like Tyson's been a little bit restless ever since that decision? Do you feel like he's going into this fight with that same sort of energy? It's like, okay, I have to concentrate on Schwartz, but the top fight is out there.
But if you look at him, he looks in better nick there than when he challenged for the title. Remember, when he challenged for that title, he came off against 2 sort of guys that we brought in just to get him back into the swing of thing, into the ring. He came in and fought him. He doesn't look like an athlete. You want to talk about, he didn't look as bad as Ruiz did when he got him. He might have done for the first fight, but he didn't look as bad as Ruiz, by the time he fought Deontay. But he wasn't 100%. I remember at a press conference, he went, "Look at me, I'm the fat guy. You're going to tell everybody you're going to get beaten by this guy. I want you to tell everybody that afterwards." Well, since then, he's been in constant training. He's got the bit between his teeth. He's living the life. He's loving the life. He's so turned on by the boxing. He couldn't be in a better place. So now, it's for him to go. It's all for him to go and do now. And I believe he can go and reclaim all of his belts. And I think he can do it in a short space of time.
Well, his mate Billy Joe obviously fought a couple of weeks back in Stevenage. Callum Smith fought on the same night as Joshua, retained his title. That's a fight. They were tweeting each other. They were talking about each other. They were talking to each other. Is that a fight that you see coming?
Yeah, do you know what? Forget all the tweeting. It's so simple to make that fight. 50% for you, 50% for you. Let's get it on. We want it. I rang his manager and asked him for the fight. I asked Joe Gallagher. I said, "Let's make this fight." He said to me, "Well, he's got his next fight at the Garden." I said, "I know that." I said, "Well, after that, let's do the fight." He then said, "Well, he's got another fight after that." I said, "Well, what? Make this one. This is the one the fans want to see." He went, "Well, we'll do it next year." I said, "But your man's not going to be making super middleweight next year. Just tell me, if you don't fancy it, say you don't fancy it." Bill's coming up. Bill's not a big super middleweight. Callum is. He's going to go to light heavyweight. No doubt. Make it now while the fans want to see it. Make that fight happen. Let's not cheat the fans about it. Make that fight happen. Like we just made these fights. Like we put our 2 guys in. They're fighting each other. Daniel, Nathan are fighting each other. That's what we want to do. So we want Bill in with Callum. I don't know who's going to win the fight. I've got an opinion. I think my man's going to win it, but I don't know what's going to happen until they get in the ring. But they may never get in the ring because Joe Gallagher won't let it happen.
Is that one as well? It's Billy Joe's boxing skill against Callum's size, right?
There's a bit of that, but don't underestimate Bill as a puncher. I mean, he took that fella apart. I was really disappointed with Boxing News. They make a 2-star thing. That guy done better than Lemieux did. At least he caught Bill. Lemieux never caught him.
And moving on, another title fight we've got to talk about, the Yarde Kovalev match, which obviously was meant to take place in Russia, but there's been...
We signed the contracts and sent the contracts back, and we got signed contracts for it. The fight's supposed to take place in June. We have not been sent any invitations we have to have an invitation to get the visas. We've never had them. Anthony enrolled in Yarde for the drug testing, and I don't believe certainly up until last week that Kovalev did. We're signed for it, so within the next few days something's going to have to happen one way or another. Something's going to have to happen. No one's trying to duck it at our end. We're an open book. Send a contract. We agreed to terms, signed a contract, sent it back. Done.
And if it turns out to be the other way that you think it sounds like, because it was meant to be June 28th was the original date, June 29th. Obviously that's, 3 weeks, not even that, 3 weeks away or something now, so that can't happen. If that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen out there, what is likely? Could it be added to this, or will it be its own event?
A couple of days, see what happens in the next couple of days. We are talking to them, and hopefully we find some resolution. But at the moment, we're quite pissed off. Anthony's really pissed off. He's worked hard, he's trained, all that crap you get from people. Here's a guy stepped up to the plate. You know what? I'm not going to fight in America. I'll fight him in his hometown. I'll fight him in Russia, and signed to fight him in his hometown. What does that say about Anthony Yarde? Does that not tell you the measure of him?
And is that something you're worried about, the way that it will be seen from the outside regarding Yarde and Anthony and Tunde? They'll be seen as, I think it's fair to say they get quite a lot of stick quite often,
Well,
isn't
they're
it?
not entitled to any stick for this because they're heroes. They signed it. They signed the contract to fight Kovalev. That's signed. What more can they do? They ain't ducked it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go and take the fight. Where do you want to fight? Yeah, we'll go to Russia. Whereabouts in Russia? His hometown? Be there. Send us the invitations. We've not had them yet.
But hopefully that gets over the line and gets made eventually. It'll be great for Anthony.
Well, it will have to make happen because the WBO have ordered it. It's got to happen.
And then another title fight, Warrington Galahad.
Right.
That's only 10 days away as well now. Getting to the build-up, the needle's there. Warrington looking fit, Galahad looking fit. You excited for that one still?
I am. I'm just disappointed that I've got to be in the States because when we announced it, it was before Tyson's date was announced by ESPN. That's got fight written all over it. Pride of Yorkshire. Who's it going to be? I've got a lot of, obviously where my heart and my allegiance is with Josh. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's the best, the most improved and probably the best young fighter in the country at the moment. No doubt about that. He's been in with at the top level, not once, twice in the last year. The best in the business he's been in with, and he's beaten both of them. Everybody says that Galahad's going to be elusive, he's going to be a problem. Josh, his style may be a problem for Josh. Do you know what? Josh's style is going to be a problem for Galahad. That's what I think, because he's not fought anybody like Josh.
And that night as well, being at Leeds, I think it's not a particularly well-kept secret that's probably going to be Josh's last appearance in the UK for a little while. So it's very much if he wins. But it's got the makings of sort of a great night in terms of being a fan and a send-off to their, a hero of Leeds, really.
Well, he is a hero. He's a British hero. There's no doubt about that. I hope they are. We've done tremendously well. It'll be a great atmosphere, great gate there, and they'll all get behind their man. And if he does what I hope he'll do, then he'll be on to bigger and better things. I think that was the disappointment for him, that he was expecting the unification match with Valdez, but the IBF put this on him.
Well, lovely talking to you as always, Frank, and I'll see you in Vegas.
Look forward to seeing it.